Nature is really marvelous, don't you think? Let's learn more about the people who protect it.
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. I'm Mrs. A, and I am so glad that you decided to join me today. Let's start off with the zones of regulation check-in. And in case you're not familiar with these color zones here, they each represent a different feeling we may be experiencing, or a way that our bodies and brains may be feeling. And there are no good or bad zones. We all experience different feelings and emotions throughout the day, and our bodies and brains respond and react in lots of different ways. And so let me explain the zones a bit, and I'm going to ask you to identify your zone. The blue zone means you are moving a little slowly. Maybe you're not feeling fully energized. Maybe you're feeling a little lonely or sad or sick. The green zone means that you are feeling really settled, really focused. The yellow zone means that you are starting to lose control. Your thoughts might be getting jumbled or confused. And the red zone means that you are out of control. Your thoughts are completely overwhelming you. Maybe you feel like you can't control your body or your voice very easily. And so I'd like you to take a moment to listen to the messages your body is sending you. For example, if your brain is feeling a little distracted or frustrated or confused, or your body is jittery, you may be in the yellow zone. If your brain is feeling really clear and focused, if your body is feeling comfortable and peaceful, you may be in the green zone. And so I'd like you to listen for those messages and notice how your body's feeling and your brain is feeling. And grab an object that matches your color zone. I'll do the same. Did you find an object? If you need a little more time, that's okay. I found a green crayon because my body is feeling pretty comfortable. My brain is thinking clearly, I feel focused. And so I'm in the green zone right now. What zone are you in? Thank you for sharing. It's helpful when you share what color zone you're in, not only for the people around you, but for your own brain and your own body. It actually helps your brain and body understand yourself a bit better. So I'm glad you were able to practice that with me today. We also take time to practice lots of different strategies or tools or ways that we can move from zone to zone. Sometimes if we feel like we are losing control and in the yellow zone and our thoughts are crowded or our body is feeling anxious, we might be able to take some breaths or cuddle with a pet or a fuzzy friend or do some activities that help us move toward the green zone. And there are lots of things throughout the day that we can try, or we may even learn about ourselves as we do them, that they move us from one zone to the other. For example, if I'm in the blue zone or the yellow zone, or sometimes even the red zone, if I learn that someone found my videos or found my stories and it made their day a little happier, or they learned something new, or they were watching and had some questions or wonders, I almost automatically move to the green zone. I feel so grateful that I was able to share something with you or help your brain learn something, or maybe give you an opportunity to just notice something new. And so there are lots of things throughout our day that may move us from one zone to the other, and that was one for me. Another one that you may notice is moving your body, going outside, taking a walk, jumping rope, riding a bicycle, Maybe going for a run or just taking a hike out in nature can help you move from one zone to another. And so we practice moving our bodies together by doing a date exercise. Let's check the date so we can get started. For me, it is 3/7/22, or March 7th, 2022. For you, it may be different, and that's okay. You can change the numbers as needed. Before we get started exercising, though, let's check in with Fig, because they always show us a move, and we have an opportunity to guess based on our observations and what we notice. You can even try this shape with your body and see if you know what exercise we'll be doing in just a bit. Now, before we do Fig's move, we have 3 lunges to do. And lunges are a way that we can move our body by stretching our legs and building up our muscles in our legs. So it will require us to stand up if we're able. And what you're going to do is spread out your legs a bit. So there's one foot in front and one foot behind you. And we're going to bend our front leg almost so it makes a corner. Okay. And our back leg may touch the ground or may get close to touching the ground, as well as our hands. And we'll do this as we count up to 3. You can do them all on one side, or you'll notice I'll switch sides, whatever is best for you. Ready? Let's do 3 lunges. 1, 2, 3. Awesome work. Now, this next one will require us to lay on the ground or a flat, comfortable surface like a mat or a rug. And they are crunches. And we're going to do 7 crunches, and we'll be working out some of the muscles in our stomach and some of the muscles in our back. And so you can lay down and bend your legs and lay your back flat on the ground or on the surface you're at. And we'll pull up so our chest and our belly come close to our knees. And you may not get your belly or chest all the way up to your knees. Those would be full sit-ups, but we want to pull toward our legs. Let's do 7 crunches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, nice work. Now, our final move is the one that Fig was showing us. Fig, what should we do 22 of? Elbow to knee touches. Thanks, Fig. You can do Fig's moves sitting down like this or standing up. Whatever feels best for your body or works best in your space. We're going to take our right elbow and touch our left knee, and our left elbow and touch our right knee. And we're going to do this counting by 2s because 22 is an even number. If you're not sure how to count by 2s yet, that's okay. You can follow along as I count. It'll be a great way for you to start practicing. Let's do it. 22 elbow to knee touches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Whoa. Fig, thanks for suggesting that move. And friends, thanks for giving those exercises a try. Now, before we move on, you may feel that your body is warm, your heart is beating quickly, or maybe even your muscles are giving you some messages or giving you some sensations or feelings. And so we're going to take 3 cool down breaths before our next step. You can listen for a bell, and once you hear it ring, fill up your belly big with air and slowly let it out. Let's cool down together. Thanks for taking those cool down breaths with me. At the beginning of this episode, I was talking about how nature is so marvelous, and I'm wondering if you agree. We're going to talk a bit about nature today and some people who work to protect it, but I also wanted to remind you that I share stories throughout the months too. And if you hit that red subscribe button, You'll get a reminder or notification letting you know when I have a new read aloud or story or episode to share. And I just filmed one recently about a book called Can You See Me? And it's this really fabulous and interesting book that helps us zoom in and really see the marvelous and tiny and magical parts of nature. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and check it out if you haven't yet. Without further ado, here's our message for today. And as we talk about zooming in and noticing things, see if you can notice the alliterations and onomatopoeias that I've hidden in this message. Alliterations are words that are next to each other or nearby that start with the same letters or sounds, like buzzing bees. And onomatopoeias are sound words, like buzzing. So go ahead and see if you can spot them. Dear marvelous and fascinating friends, there are so many magnificent moments to be noticed in nature, from tiny tadpoles developing into frogs, birds singing songs to share their voice, and plants protecting themselves from bugs by making chemicals. Do you ever stop to notice the magic all around you? Today we're going to learn about a few people who have worked or do work to protect the environment, ecosystems, and animals around them. These caring and creative women are just a small sample of some of the thoughtful and loving people protecting our Earth. Can you think of others? Have you tried to take care of animals and plants in your community? Love, Mrs. A. So I'm wondering, before we learn about all of these fabulous women who have been doing this work, do you know of anyone who likes to take care of their environment, is protecting animals or plants? Oh, cool. Maybe you are the one doing that. Maybe you grow plants or take care of a garden or keep chickens or have pets. There are so many ways that we can notice and interact and help take care of nature. And so I'm really, really excited to share about some of these special people who have done just that throughout their lives. This first story is a book called Little People, Big Dreams, and it's all about Jane Goodall. And maybe you've heard of Jane Goodall. She is a scientist who works and studies chimpanzees, and she's done this nearly her whole life. And I'm going to share a few pages with you here to hear about how she got started. This is a really beautiful book written by Ma Isabel Sanchez Figuera and illustrated by Beatrice Cirucci. I would definitely recommend you grab yourself a copy of this one from your library or bookstore so you can learn more about Jane Goodall. But let's take a sneak peek together. Jane loved animals very much. She wanted to live in the jungle with wild chimpanzees, just like the heroes of her bedtime stories, Tarzan and Jane. At night, her mother read her their adventures. Anyone else love animals? Maybe you saw my Me Too symbol. But Jane could not afford to go to college to study animals, so she would have to study them in her own way. She saved every penny that she had until she could buy a boat ticket to Kenya in Africa. And after she visited Kenya, a country in Africa, and met another scientist, she visited the country Tanzania, also in Africa. And this part is about some of the work she did in Tanzania. Instead of numbering them, the chimpanzees, as all the other scientists did, Jane decided to give every chimpanzee a name. There was David Greybeard, Flo, Flint, Fifi, and Gigi, to name a few. And I just love how Jane Goodall set this example for scientists around the world, really, who are working with animals, working in nature. And she said, we can treat animals with respect and kindness and dignity. And she has helped discover and understand so much about chimpanzees and humans because of her hard work, because of her gentle and kind and caring heart. And so Jane Goodall is a huge, huge inspiration to me, and I know to many of us. And so you can grab this book, Little People, Big Dreams, all about Jane Goodall, and learn more about her story and her hard work and important discoveries. And this next book here, it's new to me, and it's about a woman I hadn't known about before, but I'm really eager to share it with you. It's called One Plastic Bag, and it is the story of Aissatou Cisse and how she became the recycling woman of Gambia. And Gambia is another country in Africa. And this book, One Plastic Bag, was written by Miranda Paul with illustrations by Elizabeth Zunon. And we'll read just a few pages together to hear about how she got started and what inspired her to do this work. But this is a really wonderful book that you should grab for yourself. And in the description of each of my videos, I have a link where you can find bookstores that are near you and buy these books that I share so you can add them to your library and share them with your community. Naju Gambia. Aissatou walks with her chin frozen. Fat raindrops pelt her bare arms. Her face hides in the shadow of a palm leaf basket, and her neck stings with every step. Warm scents of burning wood and bubbling peanut stew drift past her. Her village is close now. She lifts her nose to catch the smell. The basket tips. One fruit tumbles, then 2, then 10. The basket breaks. Aissatou kicks the dirt. While she was traveling back from the market and gathering food and fruit, her palm leaf basket broke and tore. And so she is in a little bit of a predicament. She has a problem. And so let's see what she does. Something silky dances past her eyes, softening her anger. It moves like a flag, flapping in the wind, and settles under a tamarind tree. Aissatou slides the strange fabric through her fingers and discovers it can carry things inside. She gathers her fruit in the bag. The basket, made of palm leaves, is useless now. She drops it knowing that it will crumble and mix back in with the dirt. And maybe you remember a few weeks ago we talked about composting and how plants and food waste like vegetable scraps or fruit stems and seeds will all turn back into dirt. And so this palm leaf basket can be left by the side of the road because it's leaves, and the leaves will decompose and turn back into soil. But do you think that's true for the plastic bag that she found on the side of the road? No, unfortunately, plastic does not compost nearly as easily or nearly as quickly as things like leaves and sticks. And so plastic is a real problem, not only for Aisatou's community in Gambia, but for all of our communities around the world. And so she learns that there is a huge problem with plastic pollution, a huge problem that's affecting her environment, her neighbors, and the animals in their community. Aisatou's feet lead her to the old ugly road. A pile of garbage stands as wide as grandmother's cooking hut. Mosquitoes swarm near dirty pools of water alongside the pile. Smoke from burning plastic stings her nose. Her feet back away. Goats scamper past. They forage through the trash for food. Her feet stop. She knows too much to ignore it now. Holding her breath, she plucks one plastic bag from the pile, then 2, then 10, then 100. And what I love about Aisatou's story is that she noticed that the plastic was creating a problem in her community, and she came up with a solution. She gathered 1, 2, 10, hundreds and thousands of plastic bags from the side of the road, from trash piles that were piling up near her, and she cleaned them and turned them into bags and baskets that would be stronger than the palm leaf baskets, and that would help not only give her a job, but create jobs for her neighbors and her family, and help clean up their environment and take care of their animals and protect not only her community, but the communities around the world. So be sure to grab a One Plastic Bag and learn more about Aissatou and her story. I know I was inspired when I read it, and I hope you will be too. Last but not least, we have a story that I just adore. It is called Spring After Spring. And it's all about how Rachel Carson inspired the environmental movement. It's by Stephanie Rothschild. And one of the reasons I adore this story is because the illustrations are so beautiful. The words make me think of a storybook and like a fairy tale almost. But this is all real and about Rachel Carson, who was an incredible scientist and an environmental activist who helped inspire people to clean up their communities and to listen to nature and to figure out what we were doing that was harmful and how we could help and make sure that animals and plants and our ecosystems were functioning well and in a healthy way, which will also help us function well and be healthy. And so we'll just take a little peek together. But I just think it is so fun and reminds me of how much I love to be outside and why spring is my favorite. And so we'll look at a few pages together to learn about Rachel Carson and her story, but definitely grab this one for yourself. As the midday sun warmed the earth, other musicians chimed in. Life and music were all around. Buzz, wait, 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 beep, 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 buzz, chirp, chirp, chirp. Do you see all the onomatopoeias or sound words there? And wonders big and small. Rachel Carson loved to think about nature and all of the wonders big and small we can see under her microscope. She looked through a microscope and saw a small world in a drop of water, tiny sea plants and animals. Rachel was amazed and in love. You see all those tiny creatures in one drop of water? There are so many things living around us and in our environment. And Rachel discovered them in a magnifying glass and a microscope, and this really ignited her love. She wanted to know more about the very small world made visible by a microscope. She had never been to the ocean and was scared to go in the water. To learn about the creatures in tidal pools, marshes, and the sea, Rachel decided that she would study biology, and she put her writing aside. So she wanted to get to know all of these creatures better and understand the world on a deeper level. So she went to study biology. But all around, nature's voices are going quiet. So unlike all those sounds we heard on the first page, there are fewer sounds and noises or music here. So Rachel did what she did best. She watched closely, listened carefully, and learned as much as she could about what was happening. Rachel put together scattered facts and found the answer. And Rachel actually discovered from her careful observations and noticing how the magic was changing in nature, she discovered some of the things we were doing that were really harmful to animals, to plants, and to rivers and streams. And her work helped transform how we think about interacting in the world and taking care of our environment. And so this book is a must get, especially as spring is coming for some of us in the Northeast, and how we can also make those observations and notice things in nature, just like Rachel Carson, just like Isetu, and just like Jane. One way I thought we could practice making those observations together right now is by taking a mindful moment where we will be looking for living things. And you can look around your space, or if you want, peek out a window. But I'd like you to just notice for 1 minute, what living things do you see? How do you know they're living? Let's take 1 minute to make our observations. you spot some living things? Will you say them out loud? Yeah. Cool. Maybe you saw some of your siblings. Maybe you saw your pets. Maybe you saw plants. Fantastic. Yeah. There are lots of living things around us, even indoors at times. And there are lots of living things outside. So maybe you peeked out your window and noticed some birds, or a squirrel, or a fly, or a bee. As you were making those observations, how did you feel? What did you notice in your body? Hmm. Oh, cool. Yeah, I noticed that I was in the green zone as we were making those observations. I felt really settled and calm. I was really focused on looking for those living things, and I had noticed my plant, and I thought, I know it's living because it grows. It grows bigger every day. So I thought that was cool. Friends, thank you for taking some time to spend with me and to grow your brain in hopefully a slightly different way than you maybe have before or usually practice. I really hope you check out these books. Again, you can find them in the link in the description of this video. And be sure to like and subscribe while you're there. I want to send you off with some love if you'd like it, a hug if you want it, and I can't wait to see you next time.